story, and yes, occasionally they would look at a picture for further comprehension. We want them to do that. The pictures are there for a reason. This is a small book. 99% of this page is picture because the story is told mainly in the pictures. Let's think about this story. Why do you think they need to wear bibs? Why do they put some cloth around their bodies? Who do you think Vic is? Now, it doesn't tell you in the story who Vic is, so this is kind of a thinking question. It could be their mom. It doesn't say that, but it looks like an older sister or a mom or somebody. What did they put on the cake at the end of the story? They'll all know it's candles. But why did they make a cake for Dad? Why? Doesn't say in the story. This is all the thinking about reading that we're trying to introduce to your children, or maybe to you. This is not just about reading words and getting through a page. It's about thinking. The more they think about the story, the more they'll understand it, and the sooner they'll be able to read it fluently, not choppy. So now, boys and girls, you will read the story in a whisper voice. I'll come around to listen to you, and I'll help you if you don't know a word, but be sure to look at the pictures for help. That is perfectly valid. So the students read in a whisper, and you go around and you're listening, you're making little notes on things. Then they read the story with their partner. This is a short story, it's a short book. If you have time, at the end of their whisper reading, they read to their partner. Now, I just want to be sure we're all clear on what that means. It means that I read this page, 6 kids pin on bibs, and then my partner reads the next page to me. Vic fills the pan. Now it's my turn again. That's what partner reading is. They don't know that. So you'll have to demonstrate it a couple of times in the beginning of this whole guided reading program. And they need to be respectful. They need to listen to their partner. They need to ask the partner, I didn't understand that, I didn't hear that. They need to speak out with their partner. Maybe the partner has made a mistake. So I could say, could you read that again? Because I didn't get it. I'm not saying you're wrong. You have to model everything you want them to do. So not you're wrong, that's not right. I didn't get that. Could you read it again, please? All right. So now they've read it with their partner. Now you explain the worksheet for today. I think I've picked up from your confused expressions the other day that you're worried that maybe the work will be beyond their ability. Well, I think they can do it. But if you're a little concerned, especially on some kinds of worksheets, you can simply say, so today our job is to cut out the pictures and put them in the right order to tell the story. So let's see, how did the story start? Oh yes, we started by putting bibs on so that we don't get our clothes dirty. And what's the next thing that happened? Well, we mixed. To make the cake, we started mixing. Then what happened? Oh, I don't know where it is over here. Somebody spilled something. Then we put the pans in the oven. When it was ready, we took it out. And look, here's Dad. So you can give them the answers if you want to. Then when they go back, they do the cutting. They place the pictures in the sequence they think is right. They have their books so they can check on their own if they've learned to do that, if they've thought about doing it. Then the other teacher can be roaming around checking that, I'm not sure if this part is okay. Do you want to check in your book and see if that part's okay? This is a huge piece of learning. Going back to the source and checking. It's just like looking up the spelling on Google or in a dictionary. It's going to the source and checking so that when you finally do it, you have it right. This is not cheating. This is learning. This is practicing. So, and if your other teacher is able to support you in this, then there's really nothing left to correct. You just assume that it's all right. And in any case, the correcting and the right and the wrong is secondary. What's first? The learning. Okay, so there's day one for you. We've just gotten started with this book. If you notice, we've already read the story at least 3 times. It's pretty simple. Now, these kids may not have made cakes at home, but they've seen the process of cooking. So having a bowl and a spoon and a stove, none of that is particularly unusual for them. So day 2, small group comes together in a quiet corner. So in our story about the 6 kids, what were the kids doing? What were those 6 kids doing that day? Somebody will say they made a cake, they made a pudding, they made something. Okay, but why were they doing it? Oh, it was their papa's birthday. Yes, it was. It was Dad's birthday. Now, look at the pictures and tell me what tools they were using. What were they using to do this work? So maybe somebody will say a spoon, a pot, a mop, a dish, some candles. It doesn't matter. This is not a content question. It's, again, looking for information in a book, in a resource, and pulling that information out. This is huge. For the rest of their lives, they'll be going to a resource, too many times internet, but could be any resource, to get information. So you're just giving them a taste of it. And it's also a way to review the story and the vocabulary. Now you will review the words from yesterday and you will add the sight words. I always suggest you keep your sight words for the second day because they're fairly common. The children have a lot of them. And in order to understand the story, they need the story words, the names of the characters, some particular words like fix or fills or mix in the story. So here we have our sight words and we show it, we say it, we show it again. We look in each child's eye, focusing on the word. Okay, good. They don't need to say it. They need to think it. We'll have a look at yesterday's worksheets to get a sense of how that was going. And some kids can explain the pictures. Not everybody. You don't have time for that. So here are your books. I want you to whisper read the whole story. And I'll come around to listen to you reading, okay? When I, as a child, am performing for my teacher, I'm very motivated. But I'm more motivated when I feel secure. I'm not reading to the whole group. I'm just reading to myself. And ma'am is listening to me. And she'll tell me that, okay, fine. Or check that. So I feel confident of doing my reading. And so she circulates. Explains the activity for day 2. Pretty simple. This is the one where they have to circle one word in the line that has the I sound, the short I. So the circle, hit, and then they have to write it over here. And there's an example given at the top for their benefit and yours in case you forgot what's going on here. Pretty simple. And when they're back at their tables and they've done the activity, they partner read. They take turns reading the story with their partners. They probably will like doing that because they feel kind of like, oh, wow, she's letting us do it on our own. Day 3, again, they come together, review both the words from the story and the sight words. How you review them is up to you. One way is to just point, whisper it in your head, and then point to another one. This word is kids. Whisper it in your head. Just make some sort of a game out of it. Or point, tell your partner this word. Tell your partner this word. There's no point in having the whole crowd read those words out loud because you won't know who's able to do it and they'll just be noisy. So let them, and if Oh, are you not sure about this word? Okay, this word is kids. Okay, want to say it with me one day? Kids. Good. Okay, now I'm going to point to it. Tell it to your brain. Okay. Have a look at yesterday's worksheet, just always to review it. One child can read each line. I mean, let's assume you have 6 children there. So it can read this line, and so can read this line, and there again. So you read. Today, boys and girls, we're going to have turns to read the story, and you can be one of the characters. So somebody is Liz, Jill, Kim, Tim, and so on. Because there's not any dialogue, they're not talking, the children will read the part or the sentence that begins with their name. So whoever is Vic will read the sentence that says, Vic fills the pan. Now here there are 2 children. So whoever is Liz and whoever is Jill will read it together. If there's a part which is, let's say, the book, the narrator, then you read it. For example, the first page is 6 kids pin on bibs. Look, this story is so easy that I've already memorized it, okay? So when you're concerned about, oh my God, these stories, who are they, what are they? After 2 or 3 days, you will have memorized it. You'll be saying it to yourself as you go home on the bus. So this is a beginning of reader's theater. This is a beginning of acting out, of getting the story into the child's mind and head and heart. So if there are 2 characters, they both read, and you read any additional parts. Okay, so they read it that way. Then they whisper read, and you go around again to check. Explain the work for day 3, which is, again, fairly simple. Picture from the book. The words that they have to choose are given here. All they have to do is read the sentence. It is for, look, there's a picture of Dad with the cake and the candles. So it is for, let's see, oh, here's the word Dad. Okay, I'm just going to write the word Dad over here. So they don't have to cut and paste it. If you just have to find the word, if they're not sure, go back to your resource. They can go back and check. And then they read the story once more to themselves. They read it individually. So this is now about the 8th time that they have read the story. Why are we reading it over and over? Because the first couple of times, we were just getting the vocabulary. We were just figuring out how to say some of these words. 6 kids pin on bibs. But by the 4th or 5th or 7th time, 6 kids pin on bibs. They know what the concept, that they can say the words, they know what the story is. Now they're reading. Before they were decoding. 6 kids pin on bibs. That's reading. And you can even ask them, 6 kids pin on what? Bibs. I know, that's what the story says. There's such a difference between struggling through decoding and fluent reading. So they will read the story one more time. And on day 4, which is for you guys the last day of this quiet corner, review the worksheet from yesterday. One child at a time can read one of the lines. Look at the vocabulary words again, of course. Partner reading, turn by turn. You circulate to listen to how it's going. You can't hear it too often because each day you hope you'll see slight improvement. So if the first day Ravi was kind of stumbling through it, and by day 4, wow, okay, Ravi has learned to read this book. So he's no longer a beginning reader. Now he has become an expanding reader, a beginning reader. He's getting it. And you need to note that. Then explain the activity for day 4, and they go back and read the story one more time. Now, day 4, whoa, looks so challenging. So they have to read the sentence, then they have to decide which one is correct. So, 6 tins pin on bibs. What? Oh, 6 kids pin, oh yeah, that's right, 6 kids. So I circled the sentence that's correct. the other teacher is walking around in case somebody is confused. They may read the word incorrectly. So if they read the word wrong, they can't distinguish whether the sentence is correct or not. Jim and Tim will fit it. Now, what is that? There is a sentence where Jim and Tim will fit it, or lift it, or fix it. Yeah. Oh, we want to fix that. Okay. Vic fills the pan. Vic pins the pan. Does she fill it or pin it? So all they have to do is choose the right sentence and circle it. And at the very bottom, they get to draw. So here they can draw a 6. Here they can draw some kids. And here they can draw some bibs. I want to make a correction on this one, which I'm noting to myself right now, and I will send you the revised version. Okay, so 6 kids. Tell me what you're thinking. Questions?
Yes, ma'am. I want to ask one thing. So if
Yeah.
we start with the day 1, and there are 2 teachers in the class, one is doing guided reading, and other teacher 2 is with the other students. So the other children who are not doing the guided reading with the teacher 1. So what kind of activities we should take on to engage them?
Well,
Because we can't take that story related activities. That story is going with the teacher 1.
That's right. That's right. Because one group is with you and everybody else is doing something else at the moment. What else do they do in your class? Do they do handwriting work? Yes. Do they do free drawing? Yes. Can this be just free reading time? Yes. What other kinds of things do you normally do? Okay. If nothing else, it can be just their journal writing time. Okay. I mean, to really answer your question, I have to know more about what else is going on. They can be finishing some of yesterday's work if they didn't. They can be doing puzzles. They can be working with plasticine. They can be doing anything that normally happens in your classroom. Once you have the second group with you, group number 1 is doing this activity. Okay, and and then it continues to cycle. Eventually, the group number 1 will be done. So they better do their handwriting or yesterday's leftover work or make some puzzles or whatever else. So you're going to have a cycle of activities. This is new for all of you. This is not generally how your classroom functions.
But ma'am, if we talk about 2 groups, if there are 2 groups, so we need to take more than 6 to 7 kids in one group.
Okay, you cannot do this program of more than 6 or 7 kids at one time. That's the fact. Just think about it. The reason that it has been brought forward to all of our attention that by class 3 and 4, our children are not reading well, it's because we haven't spent enough time focusing on teaching reading at this level and class 1 and 2. So we'll have to change the system in order to improve that problem. I know you're anxious about what am I going to do with those other 25 kids? Yeah, you can be anxious about it. So come up with a solution. We will have a handwriting program, which eventually I'll get around to working on because all this has been happening. But there are other things that happen in upper KG. And this is going to take an hour and a half of your time every day. You're going to use a lot of time in literacy. So children may need to use some of this work time to finish some math or practice some math or do a drawing about their science, the plant activity or the fish or whatever you're doing in science. So there are other things that can be used in this time because after an hour and a half of this, you have your lunch break or you have your music class or Hindi comes in and before you know it, your day's over. So I don't think you have to worry about filling them up. All we need to do is plan the best way to use your time, okay?
So according to you, he can take any other subject, whichever is pending with the child.
Because at this age, there's not very much they can do independently of you. They can do their journals. So if you start your day with 10 or 15 minutes of listening and speaking, you know, when they hear some news or they talk about something or they bring in show and tell, so you have a few minutes of that. Maybe they haven't had time to do journaling. So yes, you can, here's what you can do while I'm with the reading group. Here's your handwriting, there's your journal, and here's some yesterday's work. When you finish all of that, you can take the puzzles, you can take the plasticine, you can take a storybook to read. So this is part of your management of your class time. You have to have a plan. Maybe you have a chart on the board with a picture of a puzzle, a picture of a storybook, a picture of whatever, to give them the clue that, what do I do now? Oh, I could do puzzles. Oh, I could do plasticine. Oh, I can do free coloring.
Okay.
So this is for you as a experienced teacher. You can figure this out. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
It's so
Yes, ma'am.
new. Okay, good. Another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, yes. Is that Seema?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Seema this side. Good afternoon, ma'am. I just want to know that at the time of picture, when we are doing picture sequencing, if any child is doing wrong, the teacher will not correct that then and there. Teacher will tell that you will refer the book. Yes, you will refer the book and you will see there what will come next. And if still the child is doing wrong, then teacher will help them out, or teacher will still tell that okay, read the story again, and what will come next, you will find it yourself. So teacher will tell that, or teacher will help them out.
Good question. Remember, these children are 4.5. They have limited resources within themselves. They have limited work ethic. By the time a child is in class 2 or 3, you can expect them, go look in your book and figure it out. Little children can't do that. So, all right, they have, let's say, 2 of the pictures are not done correctly. You say, I'm not so sure about that. You want to check? Because, and whoever is helping them needs to jolly well know the story. So you have to say, so did the story start with Dad getting the cake? Or did it end with Dad getting the cake? Oh, yeah. So, okay, they fixed that one. And then this other one is kind of mixed up. So, okay, look, let me open the book to that page and I'll show you. You see, this is what happened here. And then this happened. Now, can you move those pictures around to fix it? That's how you help them sort out their problem. You give them some of the direction that, see, this is really what happened. And then that. Now, how can we fix your pictures like that? Okay, go ahead, show me. Good. There's still a mistake. Okay, that part is fine. But you know what? I think this one has to go over here today, okay? Sometimes you just intervene. You've tried 2 or 3 strategies. They haven't caught it on. Okay, fine. You know what, sweetie? I think this one goes here today because this is the thing. This happened, then this happened, then this, and then Dad. So it's a combination of all of the above. You don't want to tell them the answer. You don't want to leave them hanging out, not knowing how to do it. Give a clue, give an example, show the pictures, talk them through it. If everything fails, just say, you know what, today we need to put this one over here, okay? Great. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Practice.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
hello.
I'm Nakshi on this side. I just want to confirm whether it's mandatory to make the word cards and sight word cards with hand, or we can take the printout also of those cards.
Well, Buttercup had something to say about that the other day, so I'll let her answer.
Yeah, actually we were discussing day before regarding this only. So we can definitely take out printouts, but
Barkha ma'am, you are not audible properly.
Not coming.
We can definitely go with the printout.
No, ma'am,
But if, but if,
not.
no, still you cannot hear me?
Ma'am, you are not audible properly.
Am I audible now?
Yes,
Almost.
a bit, almost.
Okay, okay. So I was saying we were discussing this a day before only, like what should we go about. So we can, yes, we can take out the printouts, but when you have cards with your own in your own handwriting, that gives that ownership to you as teachers, and also to students. They feel more connected to the writing. Okay, this is written by ma'am, so we can also write like this. We can also read it. Matlab, that gives more connect. Otherwise, it's nothing more like a text that is printed, which is all around in the classroom. If we can have cards written with different colors, bold markers, what we have in our classes, so that will impact more. That's what I feel about it.
And to
Okay, ma'am.
make your life a little easier, I have suggested that whatever size card you feel is appropriate as a group, just centrally get them ordered. Whatever quality of cardboard you want, get it from a stationer. Say that we need pieces of cardboard cut 3x5, 4x, whatever card size you want. Get somebody to cut it for you. So you've got now 100 cards, because you'll need them all term. You will write whatever you have to write, and then get them laminated, because presumably
Yes.
you'll be using these cards year after year. And you'll sometimes be sticking them up, sometimes you'll be handing them out to the children to do. So use the facilities of the school to get the cardboards cut to the right size. What do you call these cards? My husband calls them library cards. I call them index cards, but you know what? Sometimes they have lines on them and sometimes they're blank. What do you call these cards? They're here, you can get them. But that, you don't just spend a lot of money on that. Get
Out
a
with the
large,
admin team.
yeah, get a large paper that's cut in maybe 100 pieces out of one or something. So I agree with Barca, in case you have the interest to do it yourself, the more of you that goes into any of this, the more you'll appreciate it, the more you'll be ready to do it, and the better the
Right.
kids will feel about it.
Right.
What do children like to eat? Biscuits that come from the market or biscuits that you make at home? It's the same
Obviously,
thing.
at home.
But it's exactly the same thing. So
Okay, thank you, ma'am. One more question I'm having. Like we are supposed to take 6 kids at one time, either 6 or 7 at the most. So if in case we are not able to complete our lesson 1 plan on that very day with all the kids, so what will be our plan of action for the second day? How we will just carry on for the second day?
because therefore, in upper KG only, you guys are so special, I have planned only 4 days of these lessons, because I know there are going to be days or situations where you not be able to do, let's say, 5 groups or 4 groups or whatever it is. So some group of children will be a day behind. That's okay. On the 5th day, they can be finishing up. These other guys have already done it. And what are those guys doing that day? They're reading these books again. They are reading from your class library. Upper KG kids can be kept very positively occupied with creative activities. So you're right. There will definitely be situations when you can't get it all done in one session. I do have to ask you approximately how many kids you expect in a classroom?
30 or 30?
30.
30
Okay,
are there
so
in our one class.
yeah, so
Maximum
if you
32.
do, now don't keep adding numbers here, okay? I'm trying to reduce your
It's
numbers.
from 30 to 32. It's from 30
Yeah,
to 32.
Maximum
yeah.
is
All right.
32, but we
Look,
generally get
if
around 30 students in class.
okay, so if you have 30 kids and you take 6 or 7 in a group, yeah, you'll get through it. If you need to go to 8 kids in a group, fine, you can do that. It's just that the direct interaction is a little more limited. You're
Yes.
spreading it more thinly. But I would rather you try this task with confidence and you stick with as close to the timetable as you can of getting, let's say, 4 groups in a day. These lessons appear to be long, but really they go very fast. I don't think they should
Right.
take more than 10, 15 minutes. In the beginning more, but once you get into the routine and the kids get into it, boom. And if there's one section of it that you feel, oh, today I just don't have time to ask these questions, or I don't have time for partner reading, okay. Don't do that one day. All right?
Fine. Fine. Thank you so much, ma'am.
I have
Yes.
a question, ma'am. Yeah, I want to ask, it's related to sight word. Are we
Ah.
going to introduce sight words separately or with the storyline only?
With the story,
Okay.
just with the story. That's why I mentioned you'll do the words that are content for the story on the first day and sight words on the second. Because we make a big deal about sight words, but the children have been using sight words all along. They were using them in their little booklets that they made in your class earlier. They see them in the shared writing. They see them in maybe your morning message. I mean, the, and, is, on. These are not some gigantic words. And in an earlier lifestyle, we had a thing called sight words. And we would try to teach a list of words, but they don't mean anything. Is, and, the. What is that? Well, if I'm reading a story and it says, the kids put it on the mat, oh, the means something. So I'll pay attention to it. So yeah, they are part of the learning, and you're using them. Please remember you're using them in shared writing all the time. Okay? Manisha was going to, oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. It means you are saying from LP1 to LP4, we will be add on all the sight words, right?
Yeah. From LP1, what? LP means?
So, ma'am, sight words will be the same in the book, na?
Yeah.
One
They're
book.
in the book.
We have to start
Carry on.
sight words from lesson number 2, lesson plan 2.
Yeah, yes, okay, fine. But it's not as though sight words have suddenly dropped out of the sky. Sight words have been with the children all along. This is, I would say, a gap or a miscommunication in the earlier way of teaching English, that sight words had to be a thing. They're just words. And I'm not quite sure what the origin of all this anxiety is. Maybe it's stuff like the Dolch list, or somebody created a list of sight words and you thought, okay, this is a topic. It's not a topic. They're just words. So we're pushing them right into the stories and we're not making any big fuss about them, okay? Can you try to believe me?
Yeah.
A little?
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Manisha wanted to say something perhaps.
Ma'am, I have this really simple question. I completely agree with all the strategies that we have discussed till now, and I'm very certain that this all will work out really, really well, and it will be very good for our children's learning as well. But my only question is that if by any chance, we still have to continue with this online learning, what will be the other alternative to carry on with these activities?
Well, okay, can we just start saying our prayers right now that online learning will not have to carry on?
Yeah, actually, we definitely want it not to happen. But if by any chance, if we continue maybe in the beginning of the term, let's not expect it till November and December, definitely not. But if maybe in the beginning, say for April and May, if we still have to continue, what will be our course of action then?
Fine. In any case, all of the stuff we're talking about with these phonics readers, with any of these, would only begin in upper KG in sometime in late November. So you would carry on in upper KG, whether you're in school or not, with reviewing the basic beginning consonants, b, k, d, m, all that stuff. That would be April and May. In July, you would do the ending consonants, t, d, m, all that stuff. So that part of your life would not have changed at all. Whatever you've been able to adapt and adopt and manage this year through stories and songs and activities and charts and whatnot, activity sheets that you send home, that'd be the same. I would certainly expect, with the way things are beginning to pick up, that COVID is decreasing, vaccines are beginning to increase, that by the end of 2021, probably we can expect to be back in school, maybe even by July. It all depends on if we will wear our masks. That's what it depends on. So you're right, Manisha. It's a big unknown and very difficult. This system really doesn't work online, I would say, quite frankly, unless electronically somehow the kids could have these books. But that's
what I was hoping, that, you know, if like we might have some alternative for having these books for online purpose as well. But then let's just hope and pray that we have the best in November.
Really.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, Meenakshi, yes?
Yeah, ma'am.
First, I was saying fingers are crossed. Let's hope for the best.
Yes.
Yeah, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, my question is, sometime it happens, a child take a leave for 1 week, and the 1 week planning skipped, and
I know.
yeah, it happens. So then we are going to start the vowel E from the book number 2. So how we it affects the child's learning. So how we will complete the week 1 planning with the child?
Well, so he'll miss that. Luckily, for each one of these short vowel sounds, there are 3 books and 3 weeks. So even if he misses the first week or the middle week or the last week, he will have the other 2. And at a point, if it works, if anybody in you and your other teacher can manage it, that you read the story with him that he missed, and you give him some of these activities to do in that big window when you're so worried the kids won't have anything to do. So he was absent last week, he comes back this week. At the time that maybe others are doing a puzzle, he might be working on some of last week's work. And you would not necessarily have to give him everything. You might pick out the 2 or 3 work pages that are the most critical for the sound or the understanding, okay? I would not send it home as homework. You know what happens with that. And
so we will not keep, yeah ma'am, and we will not keep these worksheets in the folder, the child's folder.
Well, I would suggest that you keep them in some kind of a literacy folder, and at the end of 2 or 3 weeks, staple them together, put a little note on it, even if you type it on the computer and print it out and put the same note on everybody's page, that's up to you. Simply saying, this is the language work the children have been doing this week, and I'm happy to say that all the children have shown that they can read these short words, whatever you want to say. Send it home, ask for it back, because you need it for your own documentation. Let the parents see it, ask for it back. Another technique that your school might think about is a thing called the, I think, what did they call it? Visit home bag or something. There's a little, maybe cloth bag. Maybe you can buy them from an NGO or get them stitched from a tailor. That's the bag in which children take home what they can show and they must bring back. It's a special bag, so they don't just shove it in their backpack with their parantas and achar and water and everything. It's a special little bag, preferably plastic, but whatever. So that parents can see it, they can even comment on it, but it comes back to you. Okay?
Okay.
So don't worry, a kid is absent for a week, even if he's absent for a month, he misses the letter I. All right. Now he'll still be in school for another 12 years.
Yeah. And one more question. If we are sending worksheets, and as you said, we will staple these worksheets and we will send it to the home, and the child will bring that worksheet in school. If the parent will ask, ma'am, how we will complete these worksheets? Because we want to know about the story. And side by side, we are not sending books to the,
Not sending books
students. Yeah, yeah. So, ma'am, on that situation, so what will be the right answer?
Well, I'm
If
not
the
sure I
parent is
understand the
asking.
question. One, the parent may be asking, what books are you using? That may be one
Yes.
question. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's how that is handled is entirely up to your coordinators and the school administration. If this is going to be an introduction at the early part of the term, like, okay, parents, we're having a new program here. These are the kinds of books your children will be reading. These are school books, they will read them in school. Okay, so now parents are informed of that. That's one way. An individual parent asks you what's going on. You say, well, if you'd like to come in on Thursday at 12:30, I can show you what they're doing. Okay, maybe they can't come, they don't come, they don't want to come. You can take a picture of the book and send it on WhatsApp. These are the kinds of books we're using, but they belong in the school. So this is new for the parents because they won't be able to use a tutor and they won't be able to have the older brother or sister teach the kid. So they're shocked. They're scared that you don't know what you're doing and nothing's going to happen. That's not your problem. That's the problem of the school administration to help the parents through newsletters, through WhatsApp, through Facebook, whatever medium you use, to help parents understand a new system. Okay?
Okay, fine.
Now, there was another part of your question, I think. Something about worksheets?
Yeah, ma'am, yes.
Well,
I'm just related to that absent student. If the
the
child is
absent kid.
absent and only absent kid, and we are sending.
Don't worry about the absent kid. The absent kid misses something, he misses it. You know, if he's absent when you do a unit on fish, so too bad, he misses it. You can show him some pictures, tell him, you know, we did this if you want to make it. But in 1 or 2 or 3 more years, he's going to learn about fish again. So it's okay. And if the child is sick, it's nobody's fault. If the parents take the child out to go to a wedding or a holiday, hey, it's not your problem. And we need also to tell parents that most of the work that goes on in school can only go on in school. What we do in school cannot be replicated at home. And that's not, again, not your job, that's the administration's job. Okay?
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Nobody can take your place. You are the teacher. Okay? Feel good about your
I'm having one more question.
Sure.
Parents ask for the reading material, like they want some books should be there from the child can read. So in that case, what should we tell parents that which books they should consult and which books they should take for reading purpose for the child?
Yeah, but you know that your children can read very little. That's why you're teaching them to read now. Right. So there are almost no books in the market that parents could buy that the kids can actually read. So 2 things. 1, tell the parents, that's my job this year is to start them as beginning readers. Your job as parents is to read to them. So please buy from Amazon or from bookstores, whatever books your child is interested in, you get those books, you read those books to your child every day for 15 minutes. Because there's practically nothing that you can give the kids that they can read on their own at this stage. Now, you have been getting a lot of donated books from various sources, which will be in your class library. This is an administrative decision. if you're going to allow kids to take a book home for a day or a week from your class library and bring it back, you have to, that's a school decision. I can't make that, but I suggest it's a good idea. A kid takes a book home in that special take me home, bring me back bag. If they don't bring it back, they get charged for it. And parents need to know that up front. Okay? So those books, the kids probably can't read them either, but at least the kid is interested in it because he decided to take it home.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Fine, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Good. What else? What time is it? Ooh, it's 2 o'clock already. Okay, let's do the Tin Man. Now this story is a little more complicated, which is why it's not the first story in it's the second story. And the third story is even more complicated. Now I'm hoping you have seen the book or some idea of it. It's kind of an imaginary story. The other one was realistic. The kids can imagine making something in the kitchen with some people. This is a kid, well, it's a bit of a strange story, but I like it because it has a lot of the "if" sound repeated in many different ways. So here we go. So boys and girls, I'm so glad to see you at our corner this morning because we're going to look at another book that you're going to read. You are readers. If I tell the kids that they are stupid, they'll be stupid. If I tell them they are readers, they'll be readers. So this is a story called The Tin Man, and you know, it's about Tim, the boy, and a pig and a tin man. It's really an unusual story. So I'm just going to read the first few pages just to get you started. Now, in any of the books that look like this, there are 16 pages of text. So that's too much for one go. So I've divided the lesson so that you do either page 1 to 7 or 1 to 8 on day 1, and the second part on the second day. It's just too much text and information. So I'm going to read to start, and then we'll look at the words afterwards. So I'll read the story. So Dad has a van. The van is yellow. The pig can sit in the van. Tim ran to the van. The pig hid. Tim sat in the van, and Dad ran to the van. Oh, Dad's also gone there? I wonder what's going to happen. Dad sat in the van. The pig hid. Is the van a fit place for a pig? The pig ran. He was out of there. The pig ran to a pit. Can the pig fit in the pit? You know, boys and girls, a pit is a hole in the ground. The pig hid in the pit. The pig did sit in the pit. The pig had a nap. Oh, what a funny fellow he is. So I'm just giving the basics of the story. Now here are some words that we're going to need for this story. So, and I'm showing the word cards. Tim, van, hid, fit, pit, and did. I'm showing the word cards. To make life simple for myself when I'm making my word cards, I might write the name of the story at the back in case they get mixed up. Because you know how easy it is for us to get mixed up about stuff when we have a gazillion pieces of it in the classroom? So I'm explaining the words. Yeah, pit is a new word. It means, you know, a hole in the ground. Now maybe they know that. I don't know all the stuff that your kids know. So we'll look at each word as I put it up. So this is fit, and this is bit, and this is whatever it is. So now let's look at the pictures again. So here, you look at the picture very carefully while I read the story. Dad has a van. So now they're looking, they're saying, oh yeah, that's a van. Oh, there's, okay. The pig is in the van? Oh, now Tim is running. So now they're just getting an idea of the story by seeing what the pictures are telling them. And so goes through it. She points out what the pig did, what Tim did. Tim chased the pig into a pit, into a hole in the ground. Now, here are your books. I'll read the story. You look at the pictures. Teacher reads, students look. Review any words that still seem to be tricky. Pit, pig, we know what that is. Van, yeah, we know what the van is. Okay. Now I'll read the story again And you look at the words. Don't say anything out loud. Just look. So read, huh? Then, let's do some thinking about this. Why do you think the pig wanted to sit in the van? Any answer is acceptable. He was hot, he was cold, he was tired, he was silly. Doesn't matter. They're thinking. How did Dad feel about the pig coming into his van? He was mad, he was silly, he was... Why did the pig run to the pit? Well, maybe he was scared, maybe he was tired, maybe he wanted to have a nap. It doesn't matter. We're getting them to think based on what they have heard. Now you will whisper read, and I'll come around to listen. Okay. So they whisper, you make notes on their work. If there is time, they read with their partner. And their first activity for this story is, again, words are here. Today they will cut them out, paste them in the box, and word. So Dad has a, well, what does Dad have? Oh yes, he has a van. Cut it out, paste it, write it. Why all this? The more senses that are involved, the more learning is happening. So Dad has a, I don't know what he has. He has a pig, he has a pig. Oh, van. So now I have to cut it. I have to place it. So I have to get my glue and I have to put it down. Then I have to write it again. There's a lot of mental activity going on here. And when they go back to their seats, they can do partner reading, particularly if you haven't had time to do it in the group. But even if you have, they can do partner reading again. The more time, and just pages 1 to 8. They never go ahead until you have done the lesson with them. So next day they come together. You can review the work from yesterday. Each child can read one line. That's a way of reviewing as well. Now we have some word cards to look at again, because these come in the second part of the story. Lap, and then, just show your lap. Just put your hands in your lap. This is your lap. Like sometimes you sit on mama's lap. Tin, lid, lid is a cover, a ducken, okay? Was, they know that word. And pal. I think pal is another word for friend, right? Okay, I bet you have some pals, some friends. Make it about them. It's about your students. It's not about books and worksheets. It's about them. So remember, this was our story yesterday. What was the pig doing yesterday? Now, some kids will say he was in the van. Some will say he hid. He went to the pit. He had a nap. Okay, all are fine. Doesn't matter. Why did the pig run out of the van? It doesn't matter. Are they thinking about the story? He was hot, he was cold, he was scared, he was tired. Anything's fine. You're just pulling them back into what they were exposed to yesterday. Now we give the books out and I'll read the rest of the story. You look at the pictures while I'm reading. So now you're going to do pages 9 through 16, which they get a little bit magical. So Tim, now the pig is having a nap, okay? Tim runs and he sees a big, like a tin can. So he sits on it. But the tin can was a man. Do you think this could be true, boys and girls? No, I don't think so. It's just kind of silly, huh? Now the pig ran, and the pig wanted to sit on the tin man's lap. Now, can a pig sit on the tin man? Can the pig fit on his lap? I don't know. The pig is big. Pig ran. Tim has a pan and a lid. The pan is his hat. The lid is his hat, yeah. Tim is now a tin man. Tim has a pal. The tin man is his pal. Tim and his pal ran. So the book started with something else and it has moved into this. Why? So we can have lots of words with Tim and pig and sit and lid and fit. So I'll read the rest of the story. You look at the pictures. Then check the word cards again, because without the vocabulary, they can't be expected to read. So check your word cards. Okay, this is Tim. This is pig. Huh. So Tim found a tin can. Now, what was a tin can really? Yeah, it was a toy. It wasn't a real man. It was a toy, huh? Now the pig came running to Tim. What does the pig want to do? Yeah, he wants to sit on the tin man's lap, silly pig. How does Tim get to be a tin man also? Oh, yeah. Well, he got a pan and put it on his head. He got a pot and made that into his head. And then he got a lid and he made that his front. This is all very imaginary. They'll probably love it because it's so silly. But in the meantime, they're learning their if words. So that's also good. I'll read the story again. You look at the words and listen. Teacher reads 9 to 16 and children read silently. Now it's your turn to whisper read these pages and I'll come around and listen. So they just read 9 to 16 because they have been through it with you. The activity for today, now gradually the expectations will increase. Today's activity is, if the word has the letter I in it, we're going to color that word red. So big I sound gets red, not I sound will be blue. So pig, good. Sit, okay, red, had, not red, blue. Has, not red, blue. You can do the first line with the children to be sure they understand what they have to do. But we're distinguishing now between the A sound, which we've been working on, and I. And these are mainly words from the story. Pig and hit and it and lid and fit. So that's day 2. And moving on, day 3. So we're going to look at yesterday's worksheet. Be sure we've got all the I sounds in red and the not I in blue or whatever. Look at the story vocabulary again, including any new words, sight words, whatever. So now, boys and girls, think about what happened in the second part of our story and tell me what you remember. Give them some time to think. Well, what might they say? So Tim saw a tin man. Yeah, he did. That's right. Do you think the tin man was real? No. And what did the pig want to do? Oh, yes. Okay, that's good. Yeah, you're right. What else happened? Then Tin Man and Tim were pals. Okay, fine. Whatever they can bring out, let it come. If they get stuck and not much is coming, give a little prompt. Yeah, but remember the pig ran in? Oh, yeah. Tell us. Okay, fine. This is new for your children to be asked what they think. Nobody asks a 5-year-old kid in this country, what do you think? So you're teaching a whole new skill and experience. Let's see what you get. You may not get much the first few times. It's okay. The idea is to simply refresh their memory about the story. Give out the books. You read pages 1 to 8, and the students read silently. Then they whisper read, and you go around to listen. That's all you have to do. They're reading, you're listening, making notes. Day 3 activity is simply to draw. You have given them the sentence, the van is yellow. That's on the first page of the book. The van is yellow. So they draw a yellow van. The pig hid in the van. That's in the book. They've already seen that. They draw whatever they, and the pictures have to have the only slightest relationship with what's in the book. We want to see what they can draw. So they make some kind of a van and they color it yellow. They make some kind of a van and they put a pig in it. Pig can be inside, outside, on top, and under. That's not the point. We want to be sure they have understood the sentence well enough to illustrate it in some reasonable fashion. This is not the art class. So they just have to draw whatever the sentence is. And if they're stuck, Tim has a pan and a lid. So you can say, well, wait a second. I think at the end of the story, it shows Tim. Yeah, see, here's Tim, and he has a pan and a lid. He has a duckin, and he's making like a shield out of it. Yeah, so close the book. So now you can draw whatever you think that looks like. And they read worksheet. And from day 3, highlight a couple of the drawings. You can't do every, but look at where he put the pig or whatever. Huh? Vocabulary review cards, definitely. Book, going to read pages 9 to 16. So teacher reads these. And they read it silently. So they're reading along in their head, listening to what you're saying. So can this be a true story? Accept any answers. Why can't the pig sit on the Tin Man's lap? He's too big, Tim is already there, whatever. What will Tim and the Tin Man do now? Go and play, have lunch, make a game, play ball. These answers can vary. Making them think. Oh dear, phone is making all sorts of disgusting noises. Children, whisper read pages 9 to 16, and you go around and listen. While you're listening, you're making notes, because remember, you're seeing a difference between day 1 and day 4, and you want to capture that. Worksheet for this day is similar. Now, I can tell you, and you can tell the kids if you want to, they have to put the I, the I sound in this column, then the A sound here, I sound here, A's here. So you can tell them that if you want to. So you have to add I and then write the word. So this is going to be I, Tim, write the word Tim. Ig, write the word pig. So these are I sounds. I, ah. Very important that they learn to distinguish the vowel sounds. This is a kind of activity that helps them to do that. Okay? And they read the story 9 to 16 by themselves at the end. They probably would have read the story 10 or 12 times. And this is a long story, so they need to. Okay? And we just have we just have 15 minutes for the last one. So if you have questions, we can do questions right now. Maybe you covered your questions before?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, well, okay. If you have a question, shout it out. It's not a problem. Okay, now this one is a little tricky. You know that baseball and cricket are basically very similar games, right? Without trying to teach you or your class how to play baseball, I think it's important that for this story, we just get a couple of main points out. I don't know much about cricket, so excuse me, huh? In baseball, the batter comes up, he holds a bat, he hits the ball, and he runs to the base. If the other guy catches the ball first, the batter is out. Pretty simple. Now I hit the ball, I'm running to my base, but to be safe, I have to put my foot on the little base thing, you know. It's not totally unlike cricket, but that's the main point. I have to get my foot on that bag or on a marker on the ground to be safe. Then the guy comes with the ball, I'm fine, I'm safe, and he gives the ball back to the pitcher. That's what this story is about. But the part that your kids will be interested in is the little boy, Jim, is a tiny little fellow, and he's playing with a lot of tall, big, smart-mouthed kids. So this will appeal to our children because, yeah, sometimes they've been like, we don't want you to play, you're too small, and the kid feels bad. So call your group together, quiet corner. You know you're going to be reading this book on your own, boys and girls. This is called Jim Wins. This is Jim. And you know, he's a little boy. He's not very tall, but he wants to play baseball. Oh, that's almost the same as cricket. It's not really, but it's okay to say that right now. So here are the word cards for this story. Jim, Sid, those are some of the kids in the story. Wham, oh, that's just a sound. Miss, mitt. Oh, mitt is another word for glove. I don't know if you use the word mitt here. You catch the ball in a mitt. Anyway, it's the same as glove. Zips and win. Those are the words we need for our story. So let's look at the pictures and show each page and say, gee, okay, here's Jim and the other children who are going to play the baseball game. And wow, Jim is a small child. I wonder if he'll be able to play. Can he hit the ball? Can he run fast like the big boys? I wonder how he feels. Will he get out or will he win? So you're just kind of setting the stage. Here are your books. I'll read the story while you look at the pictures. So you read, they look. At the end, review your word cards. Jim, Tim, miss, hit, whatever the words are. Be sure they understand one sentence, which is a little tricky. The big kids kid him. Oh, that means that they tease him. You know, sometimes you can say, oh, don't kid around with me. It means like, don't fool with me, don't tease me. So give them a couple of examples. I don't know if they have heard that expression, but just help them to understand it means that they tease him. Sid tags the bag. That means Sid puts his foot on the bag so he's not out. Jim zips in. Jim runs in really fast so he's not out. Lucky boy. Now I'll read the story again. You follow the words on the page. Don't say anything out loud. Listen and look. Read the story. So now we say, so what do the boys do with the bat? Now you want to be sure they understand that the job here is to hit the ball. So let's ask that question. Why do you think Jim feels so sad? Because he's small? Because the big boys are mean to him? Because maybe he doesn't get a chance? Yeah, right. He feels sad. Okay, but what do they do on that bag? What do they have to do with the bag? It's a little important that they understand that they have to put their foot on the bag. So yeah, Jim has to get there and he has to put his foot on the bag or his hand so that he's not out. That's what he has to do. At the end of the story, why is Jim all of a sudden a big kid? Well, because, you know, he wins the game with the team. So Jim wins. Jim is a big kid. It says it right there. Now, you read the story in your whisper voice and I'll come around and listen. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, and you are noting. Remember, this is the first day, so there'll be a lot of struggling. So you're just noting that. And the activity for day 1 is now we're beginning to see the pattern. Many of the activities are the same activity with different words. So what do? We have to find the right word, cut it, stick it, write it. Now this is maybe the second or third time they're doing this activity. So boom, doesn't take long to explain it. It doesn't take long to do it also. Jim is not, oh yeah, he's not big. Now look, I have put these words in a very random manner because I don't want it to be too easy for the kids. I want them to have to look and say zips, hits, kid, big, big. Jim is not big. And your other teacher will walk and watch what's happening and be able to say, you know, I'm not so sure about that. Why don't you wait a minute and try again? Okay. Day 2. All right, pretty similar. Look at yesterday's worksheet. Ask a couple of questions. So what were Jim and the kids doing? Oh yeah, they were playing a game. Yeah, it's called baseball. Now look at the pictures and tell what stuff did they use to play? Okay, they used a bat and a ball, and somebody might remember that they use a tag. Oh yeah, they wear a hat. Oh, what's that thing on their hand that they have to catch the ball in? Maybe they'll say mit, or you can say. Just refreshing the whole idea. Sight words. And, has, his, not. All of these, some of them are repeated. If you remember, we've had and a couple of times already. Now, teacher reads the book again, children follow silently. They whisper read, she goes around to listen. Explains the activity, and they read. Now when they go back to their table, they read with their partner. Same idea here. If it is a if word, we color it red. If it's not an if word, we color it blue. So big, bags, a kid. These two get red. Oh, they get blue. Same idea. And day 3. Come together, review the vocabulary, including the sight words. Because remember, you're just holding them up and saying, I know this word is the word not. Tell your brain. They need to be going inside to learn things, not blabbering it outside. Tell your brain. Take a picture with your brain. All of these strategies make it go in. Let's see. Teacher reads a story out loud one time. You just go through it once. Then you assign children to read the sentence that begins with Jim, if you're Jim, or if you're Sid, or Tim and Dan have to read together, and so on. So they're reading it out loud. 2 kids, both of them read it. That's all you have to do that day. This is the same kind of thing we've done before. Whichever is true for the story, we circle. Jim is sad. Jim is not sad. Well, he's sad. Sid tags the bat. Sid tags the bag. I'm trying to get them to distinguish the sounds in the words. Bat, bag. This is close reading. So, and at the bottom, they draw Jim hits, Jim runs, Jim wins. Whatever their version of those 3 pictures can be. There's no really right or wrong here. Okay, let's see. And day 4. Review your worksheet from the day before. Each child can read one part. Review your vocabulary. Partners read. Teacher circulates. Making notes. Explain day 4. They do it. This is again the sequencing. So how does a story start? So he starts by feeling like he's a very small little sad boy. Then what happens? Then he hits the ball. No, the other boy hits, then he hits, then he runs to the base, and then they win. You can tell them this. By the time they go back and cut it and begin to paste it, they might need some guidance. It's okay. Because they've never done sequencing before. It's the first time they're learning to think what happened first and next, and oh yeah, and then how did it end? This is huge and new. Okay, so we have finished with it. The lucky part for all of us is that each book uses some of the sounds from the previous set of lessons. So in it, there are at words. When we get to o, there's it and at words. So it's continually reviewed and building up. So again, if that kid is absent for a week or 2 weeks, he'll be exposed to these sounds at some point. Okay, your questions first, then mine.
I think no questions.
Just a sec, ma'am. Ma'am, how many number of sets do we require for the flashcards for each book?
Well, you need one per. I have given you suggestions of what the words are that you need to focus on. So you will need one card for each word. So in this one, let's go back to the beginning. There were probably 10, maybe, I don't know. Let's see, we had Jim, Sid, Wham, Miss, Mit, Zips, Win. So there were 7 vocabulary words that we need for the story. And the next day we added 4 sight words, and, has, his, not. So 11. I mean, you approximately 10, 12 words per lesson. Yeah, you could say and is going to come over and over again. Who's going to remember which lesson had that, in which envelope I've kept it, where am I? Forget about it. If it's a word in this lesson, get another card made. Okay? This is not something you have to worry about. This actually is Buttercup's problem. She needs to count up the number of words, get that many cards ready for you, and give them to you. Then I think all of you should apply for a work afternoon when you just sit and make cards. The more you people do together, the more you'll be sharing the experience. Okay? Good question. Somebody else.
Ma'am, good afternoon. I just want to ask, when the students are doing the worksheets after the guided reading lesson, we should expect students to read the sentences themselves, or shall we read it for them?
They have already, the sentences are all taken from the book. They have already heard the story, read the story, whisper read the story. Maybe you read it twice the first lesson. By the second or third day, maybe they've heard the story 10 times already.
Yeah.
So it should be, these are words that they can decode, and they understand them because they've been hearing the story that uses these ideas. Let's see, let's take an example. Yeah, Jim is sad. Now, that's a pretty simple sentence to read. Jim zips in. Jim wins. These are not hard sentences.
Okay.
And they have been doing it all through upper KG, maybe just isolated words, but now they've got 3 words together. Jim is sad. You know, they can do it. The more you do for them, the less they're going to be doing. So stop doing stuff. The other teacher who's circulating while you have your group should be saying, but I know you can read that. So why don't you try? I'll listen. You go ahead. Jim is, yeah, that's right. Jim is what? How is he feeling? Oh, sad. Jim is sad. And then go away. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
More?
I think it's just making them responsible for their own learning.
Okay, I'm going to say a couple of things and see if some of this is what's in your mind. You're still worried about the children's ability to do these activities, but as I just said, remember they have heard the story over and over again. You can give the answer when you're showing the worksheet, at least in the beginning of these sessions, to get them started so that they understand what it means to find the first picture, then the next picture. Give them a guide to that. Show them how to do it. Don't put the numbers on it. That's too easy, but show them. The other teacher is working with them directly at their tables as they're managing this. All of this is practice. This is upper KG. We're not looking for perfection. We're giving them a chance over and over again to show what they do know. We already know that there's a lot they don't know. That's not the important part. What do they know? What have they learned? I think you're still worried about your own ability to do guided reading because there are a lot of steps and you need to be clear about it. But guess what? If you forget something in a couple of the lessons and you don't happen to do a second reading, or you don't do the picture reading, or nothing will happen to anybody, especially not to you. It's okay. Sometimes we make mistakes, right? We don't put the indicator on when we want to turn. We don't close the stove quickly enough and something burns. It happens. Decide how you are going to assign children to work with a partner. Because when we say partner read, who's that partner going to be? Is it the person that they sit next to in their seats, but they don't get along? Ooh. So should you have children sit with a compatible person that they can work with? Should you have a strong reader sit with a weak reader? Do you think it's okay if I'm sitting here and my partner is there, so when I have to read, we get up and go to a mat or someplace to do it? You have to decide what works in your classroom, and what works for you may not work for your neighbor next door. What works this year may not work next year. A partner for reading is not a partner for everything. So yes, if we are sitting next to each other and we have to share the crayons, we're partners for that, but we may not be good reading partners. So this is an important thing for you to be aware of and start thinking about now. Just practice it with the group of children you had last year or you have this year, that, oh wow, how would I work that out now? Will you call reading groups in groups of children who are similar in their ability? Ones who have very limited language, some who are very strong. You have to figure that out. Will you have a mixed group and just let it go? Sometimes teachers are very successful with that, because giving the weaker child a chance to be with the stronger children pulls him up. It doesn't always mean that he feels bad. He might be ready to learn faster because he has a challenge. These are decisions you'll have to make every year, every week. There are more decisions as a teacher than as a neuroscientist. So get ready to decide stuff. Okay, what else? Now over to you.
We are pretty sure that we can do this, whatever you have suggested and whatever activities are there with our kids, and our kids are also capable of doing all these activities, all this stuff by themselves. We are pretty much sure. I think my whole team is very much sure about this.
Yes, looking forward for it.
Yes.
Yes, we are looking forward.
Yes. It'll be so much more for you. Yes, Sonia, go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, I have a doubt. Those worksheets which have tearing activity, so would it be easy to tear for kids?
No, they're going to cut it. They're cutting it with a scissor.
Okay, they will be cutting.
They'll cut. Yes. In fact, in most cases where there's a cutting activity, there's a little picture of a scissor right along the line as a hint. I mean, it may not be every single time, but mostly there is. So yeah, you will, this is another piece of managing your classroom. You need to have a basket or a box on every set of tables with all this equipment. Enough scissors for 6 or 7 kids, enough glue or paste or whatever they use, all the colors. And if it's centralized, if everybody's using red, I can use the blue for now, or I can do the cutting piece now. This is a part of being a global citizen, of knowing how to cooperate with other people, just as important as teaching reading. So have that stuff available for your kids. It won't waste their time and it won't drive you crazy. Ma'am, I need a scissor. I'll give you a scissor. So be prepared.
Will be managed. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure. And?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Have you noticed you're actually asking, all of you, more questions about the management of this than the content? Yeah. So put some thinking into how am I going to...
Pretty much sure. what to deliver. Actually, they know, but then they are struggling how.
Yeah. Good. Challenge. It makes you grow. It's great. So
Yeah, it will
when
be
do we?
altogether a new journey. We have next on Monday.
On Monday. Okay. Fine. And that will be the letter O, this sound of ah, like hot.
Okay.
And there are a couple of cute stories. Hop on, hop off is a very cute story. So if you haven't had a look at it, do. It's fun. That's an easy one for the kids. The content is easy, the words are easy. So you'll be fine. Okay?
Yeah. So any other questions, girls?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much,
Barka ma'am. We are very excited for this new journey and new learning.
Yes,
Great.
waiting for that. When we are going to implement it, waiting for that moment only.
Wow.
Yeah, just keep your fingers crossed that schools open up.
Yeah.
Yes,
In April itself.
And waiting to see the excitement in our kids, how they are going to react to all these things.
Yes. You see, we have everything we need except the school. Now we just need the school. So anyway, wear your mask. Wear your mask, okay?
Yeah,
That's
is
the
another
best way.
challenge which we'll have to deal with when we go back to school.
Yikes. How can we teach with a mask on?
Yeah, and how can we ask kids to put mask on their face and read? We don't know.
It's really tough.
Biggest problem will be that only. Making kids to wear a mask.
Yes. Although I have to say the schools that I'm familiar with now in the States where they're going 2 days a week or something, the kids wear their masks. They know and they just do it and there's no fuss about it. Even like class 1 and 2 kids, they just wear it. So it's like if you wear specs, I mean, you just wear them. You don't even think about it. So, all right,
They are more
guys.
smarter than us.
They are.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Great. See you on Monday. Take care,
Thank you
everybody.
so much, ma'am.
Bye-bye. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Bye to all.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, all of you.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Ma'am and Vidya, ma'am, you can stay here.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye, ma'am. Bye.
Barka ma'am, what are you saying?
I was
We have to stay with Vidya and me.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Vidya
ma'am.
is not there, I think.
Barka ma'am,
I'm here.
We can, yeah.
shall I
I'm
end the
here.
meeting?
Thank you. You can make
Barka
me
ma'am,
host.
Vidya ma'am has already left.
I'm here
Barka
only, Meenakshi ma'am.
She's there only. She's